Latam Retail CongresShop.
Again, my apologies for offering the presentation only in English today. As we like to say, I've spent a lot of time in Britain and America. It's English. That's all we have. So I'm here to talk to you about Amazon. So we're going to talk about Amazon in the context of coming into first as a global retailer, give you a bit of background, talk about their entry into Mexico, and then specifically talk about strategies we're seeing around the world for companies and retailers to successfully compete against Amazon, where Amazon does not do well. So first, let's talk a bit about Amazon. So it is no question, it is the biggest disruptor for retailers today. You know, it's very intimidating. What you hear about Amazon around the world is very much based on our experience in the US, things like Amazon Prime and Amazon Video, Amazon Web Services, and the significant amount of business that they do in the US, which is very diversified. And we talk about some of the major US companies like Facebook and Google. Amazon is right there with them in terms of their diversified portfolio. Also talks about their strength within the overall retail market. So think about this, that you know, Amazon it's an online retailer who's now opening stores. You know, we're seeing in Chicago, in the middle of the US, the third Amazon bookstore is opening up. And think about it from the context of merchandising. You know, if you think about a bookstore, all of the spines and the titles, and as you walk through the shelves, you tilt your head, and some of the leading titles are right in front of you on a desk. Amazon merchandises everything the way you see it online. Everything is cover out. So the way that they're doing things, they're not concerned about you know, the gross sales per square footage. It's not a concern of theirs. You know, they operate in 14 countries. Most recently entering into Mexico, so we'll talk about that. You see very, very significant growth in their core retail business, as well as their international business. And one of the things that we're seeing now, and that we're talking a lot about, is, you know, Amazon is a retailer, and they have a fleet of 11 airplanes for their supply chain. So are they a retailer? They now have ships, cargo ships in China. So are they a retailer? Are they a supply chain? Most recently, we heard some of the news people say, will Amazon kill FedEx and UPS? You know, it's a first question that people are starting to ask now that they're introducing these things. You know, they make massive investments. So again, are they a retailer? They spent $13 billion US dollars on fulfillment. And just look at one of their distribution centers. You know, even throughout the United States, where there's more than 100 distribution centers, the introduction of a distribution center into a new, you know, outside of a major city, even a second distribution center, the news crews show up, the newspaper shows up, it's a major event. It's very, very significant to see this, right? But the other, of course, you know, the thing that we've been battling for many years is the supply chain, the logistics costs. They lose money every year, always have, always will, on fulfilling products to their customers. If you think about what they say in their investor documents, this is what Amazon says their strengths in the market are. And you see number one is customer service. Information technology, supply chain. It's a huge global brand, right? But we also see a very significant disruption on software vendors. You know, I work for Oracle. One of our number one competitors for talent coming out of university is Amazon, for developers, for machine learning, all of these concepts that you hear about. We're competing with Amazon now for this talent. You can see that Amazon Web Services, they're now starting to, in some of their investor discussions, they're now starting to talk about Amazon Web Services as a business. So we're now seeing the significant amount of investment they've made in that business. Again, are they a retailer? Are they diversified? What are they, right? But as we're talking about retail, let's look at Mexico. Let's focus in on a very specific market that Amazon entered last year and talk a little bit about that. So for, Mexico sits right underneath the United States, right? No question, Americans have a very myopic view towards the world. America first. What else is, everything else after? So, but Mexico, telecom reform, we've talked about the demographics, you've heard about the changing middle class. All of this has fueled a tremendous amount of opportunity in Mexico. We also see that, just traditional commerce, traditional retailing. Again, you've heard some of the statistics about Liverpool, Walmart, Home Depot, these other retailers. There's very significant growth opportunities in major Latin American markets. But, one of the challenges that we all face, and one of the things that Amazon is filling the market, filling the need is all of the opportunity to buy product. In America, if Amazon doesn't have it, it doesn't exist, right? And everybody around the world knows this. This is what their market position is, right? So we see very significant opportunities for Amazon to sell cross-border and other retailers to sell cross-border. And you can see the percentages there in terms of what type of cross-border shipping is already, cross-border purchasing is already happening. And you can see the number one problem is product assortment, right? It's prices, it's deals, it's an opportunity. But I can get what I want from the world's largest retailer. So this is who we're facing. As you see, Amazon took advantage of their entry into the European Union country of Spain to take advantage of the language as they moved into Mexico. But for Amazon, the introduction of Amazon.com.mx was the largest international launch in their history. So they've gone into all these other countries, United Kingdom, Netherlands, France. This is the largest set of products that they brought into a particular market in their history. It's a very significant entry into the market. It's a very significant announcement to Latin America to say, we are coming. But things that we talk about, things that things that everybody understands, Amazon Prime, Amazon Video, Amazon Books, all of these things, none of that came with, okay? They only have one distribution center, Amazon Prime, 2-day delivery. Customers have to pay for this. So it's different. So, the other thing that we always talk about is as US retailers move into new markets is will they adapt to the way that payments occur in a particular market? Amazon immediately came out and launched with the standard payment methods, the new payment methods, and obviously partnered with every major bank in Mexico to ensure that, that they were able to transact exactly the same as everyone else. Let's talk a little bit about shipping. They charge variable shipping, which is very unique. We don't see that in some of the developed markets, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, the US. And they do offer a click and collect style delivery. It's very common to see in Canada, it's very common to see in the United Kingdom for click and collect delivery into transit stations, train stations, and suburban locations where they're partnering with convenience stores. So that's also new for them in a market that they've just come into. But here's some of the interesting things. Jill Campbell, my colleague, and I did some of the research in terms of how is their traffic coming in? What do we think is happening in terms of how the market is responding to Amazon coming in? And we see as they've come in mid-2015, you can see this is an Alexa traffic rank, and you can see that the traffic has tapered off quite a bit. You can also see that the majority of the search terms that are coming in are based on brand recognition. It's not product searches. It's people going, Amazon is here. How do I get to it? What site do I go to? And then you can also see what the last site was that they came from. So again, they're coming from Google, or they're coming from Amazon.com, which geolocates them and pushes them onto the Mexico site. So again, this is based on brand recognition. This is not based on product. This is not based on price. This is not based on typical competitive situations that we see in more mature markets where Amazon is competing. So let's get right to it. Let's talk about how to compete with them, because that's what we all care about, right? We know they're coming. We know they're going to enter the market. We know they're going to do well. We know that customers are going to respond to them. But what, as retailers, are we going to do to react or proactively go after them in advance of them coming further down into Latin America? So we talk about the 4 pillars, and again, some of these should be very familiar to everybody based on what we talk about today in digital, what we talk about in terms of time versus money. It's convenience over some of the other aspects. So we're trying to make things as easy as possible for consumers to interact with us, and that's really around convenience. So if we look at fulfillment, is someplace that Amazon succeeds very well. The key message I give to you is we're not trying to compete with Amazon Prime. You can if you'd like to. You can see that Walmart in America does, Walmart in Mexico does, Target does. But what they've done is, what consumers respond to is predictable shipping. I know when it will come. When you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, it's either tomorrow or the day after. That's Saturday, that's Sunday, it doesn't matter. As long as I know when, I can understand, and I can, consumers don't like to wait at home. They don't want to sit there and wait for their packages. We're all too busy for that. Our families have 2 working parents. I have to pick up the kids. We want to be very predictable about this. So Target introducing, click and collect. Drive in, very American way. Drive in, text and have someone walk your purchases out. Products set at the front of the store to make it very easy. Walk in, quickly collect your goods. But also then from a shipment standpoint, the least number of boxes delivered on the same day. In-store pickup is the most effective way that we can compete with Amazon. Because as I mentioned before, Amazon has 1 distribution center in all of Mexico. Every other retailer that you've heard about in the prior presentation has more than 1 location. And they're closer to the customer, they're more convenient to the customer, and all of the merchandise is there. So use it. That's the message that we take to you. If you've heard about Zappos, now an Amazon company. Zappos came into the market and really changed. They sell footwear in the United States. And it's very difficult to buy footwear without trying it on, of course. But they've really changed the market here. They said free shipping and free returns. And then what they did was, to ensure that the customers were extremely happy, all products from Zappos were delivered next day. So they didn't say they were going to do this, but no matter where you were in the United States, your product came the next day. You tried it on, you didn't like it, you put the label directly back on the box and sent it away. Customers loved this. As a result, Zappos was acquired by Amazon. Amazon acquires companies that succeed with customers very well. The other thing I talk about now is really around if click and collect is too early, drive, visit to store with confidence. So I look at my niece, I look at my nephew, who are all in the millennial generation. They will take out their phone, they will look to see if you have the product in your store, and if they don't have that information, they will move on to the next retailer. They want to know before they leave that it's there, because it's predictable. I don't have time to go from store to store to store. We don't go to the mall like we used to, right? So in this example here from US retailer Lowe's, this is my local Lowe's Home Improvement Center. Not only do they tell me how many, they also tell me where in the store this product is. So when we look at in-store pickup, it's very common in the US. 70% of consumers do this. I make purchases. My wife will go to the store and pick up the goods on her way, dropping off the kids or picking up the kids. It's a very convenient way to do things, and some people will only shop with click and collect. It's definitely, from a demographic change, And it doesn't matter who what age. My mother loves click and collect because she doesn't have to spend so much time doing many of these things. But we also see ship to store as an easy way to enter into a click and collect opportunity, and store to store transfer. This idea of ensuring that the customer gets what they want if it's not available in your store. Endless aisles is another common term to be talked about here. But one of the things that we need you to focus on if you're introducing a click and collect program is do it with a well thought out plan. Most of the retailers who are doing click and collect and who are struggling with the profitability of click and collect did it as a very rapid reaction to another competitor or to Amazon. They've executed it very poorly. The consumer experience is very poor. And if the consumers are disappointed, they won't come back. So do it right. Don't do it because someone else is doing it. But we also see that, based on the type of retail model that you might have, that your staff can influence additional sales. Whether this be, additional items placed near the pickup point, whether it's asking the customer to walk past a number of areas of the store that have very nice merchandise for you that they might have, using cross-sell and upsell technology that exists on your commerce platform to inform your staff at the point of pickup what other items may have gone with this item that the customer didn't elect to purchase. Maybe they can be influenced to add those items at the point of pickup. If you think about buying an outfit, if you're missing anything, a necklace, earrings, those are the types of things that your store associates ensure that your customers are very satisfied with their purchase around. Another thing I'll talk about, again, depending on the particular area, the subscription programs are it's driving convenience. This idea of thinking about retailers like Walgreens or Target, where you've got consumable items that you're using every 1 month or 2 months. The subscription is an opportunity to ensure that you're having repeated contact with your customers. The other thing I talk about is that Amazon is not the most price competitive here. I looked at a number of these subscription programs over the last 1 or 2 months and found that for me, Target has the same subscription programs at a better price, and I can receive my goods faster. So again, this idea of Amazon is the place you go first. Other retailers are reacting to this and saying, these products are better here, and we're here, and we're local. Shop with us. Amazon Prime, obviously, hopefully everyone understands what this is. $100 in the US, 75 pounds in the UK. Walmart has introduced this program in the US, and it's very early on, so we're not yet seeing some of the results of that. But again, it's the same idea. Click and collect is a bit more efficient in terms of driving that visit to the store in that particular area. So it's an opportunity. It's something to think about. Another major subscription service in the U.S. is called ShopRunner. ShopRunner partners with major brands, and if I, as a consumer, elect for ShopRunner, any brand that subscribes to this has an easy, quick checkout and free 2-day shipping on all purchases. So that's a third-party opportunity to emulate some of the Amazon Prime services that are out there in the market. Mobile's huge. We talk about mobile. We cite some examples here about integrating with Uber, or having PayPal inside of your app, or doing something around social. The types of apps that consumers use, they use for very different reasons. I know we've talked about, and I'm sure you've heard many times over the last 5 or 10 years, you need to build an app for your retail stores. And then the question is, well, my customers don't use it. Why should they download an application on their phone when I have a website and a responsive design, things like that. This is changing a bit based on some of these opportunities. This whole idea of I check in from my airline, and I can click a button that has a Uber come pick me up at my hotel in one app. So the integration of apps together is an opportunity to drive additional value within the applications that you might put out there. But again, we want to talk about there needs to be a good reason for the app. Sephora is a cosmetics product company based in the U.S. They have the idea of a in-store mode, and the in-store mode is where suddenly the phone becomes has more features and has more context based on what the consumer is doing. They can take pictures, they can look at barcodes on the shelf labels, and they can understand exactly what kinds of things that they might have on the website brought directly into their phone while they're looking at the product. Make a purchase if the product's out of stock, have the product delivered back into that same store, and then pick it up tomorrow, potentially for home delivery. So it's important to really think through what the consumer might do with this with your application, more than just shopping, right? Target. My wife has started using the Target app. Again, if we go to Target, once a week or every other week, why would I need to use the app? I don't shop online with Target on a regular basis, but they have a program called Cartwheel. It's all of the coupons and vouchers that you might receive from manufacturers or from Target directly. It's all inside of the app. It's easy. It's engaging. It's, as she describes it, it's kind of fun. It's interesting. It's like, what might be on sale. It drove her, as she was looking through this, to buy products at Target that she would normally get in a grocery store at Target because it was a better price. And now she understands what other types of products exist inside of our local Target. In the planograms or the store maps with all the product search integrated in there is very, very good for large format stores. It's very important these days. As the store staff count goes down, the ability to quickly find things using the app is very important. Don't forget, Amazon has had a mobile application for 8 years, 10 years. So as they come into a particular market, you need to be aware they understand how to transact on a mobile device very, very well. You can't simply have an app out there that is for product browse. It needs to be very well executed to compete with Amazon, who's been doing it and has teams of people that do nothing more than mobile applications and converting customers' purchases on Amazon. In fact, I will admit I make more purchases on my phone with Amazon than I do with their website today. It's easier. It's easier. Voice search. I don't need to tell anybody here that mobile continues to grow. Again, emerging markets, we see mobile as a first device as opposed to a desktop or a tablet. Shopping at work is happening less and less on a desktop and happening more and more on mobile. We're seeing conversion rates go up. We're seeing the traffic to retailers' websites go up. But the other thing that you need to look for is that the millennials love using their phones, and they will use their phone in store. As I went to a local mall in the U.S., I went around with my daughter, and I just watched as some of the millennials were shopping in particular stores and how they were interacting with the staff. And the first thing that they would do before they went to a staff member was to pull out their phone. And then if they couldn't find it on their phone, then they would go to talk to somebody because, it's so difficult. But it's something that we need to consider. The in-store experience for mobile is as important as the on-the-train experience for mobile shopping, at the desk, in the lunchroom, on your way home, sitting on the sofa watching television. It's very important. So if we look at merchandising, obviously product selection matters. It's very, very important. But it's not having everything. It's having what the consumer expects from you. We talk about narrowing your niche and dominating it. There's the Walmarts of the world, the Targets of the world that are super centers. They offer everything, and that's the intent. They are in the market specifically to compete, and will continue competing vigorously with Amazon. But when you're looking at department stores, you're looking at niche retail, you're looking at specialty retail, apparel, home goods, grocery, narrow the niche and dominate it. Focus on your customer, communicate with your customer very well. Amazon does not do email marketing. Every retailer in this room, I'm sure, does email marketing at least 5 days a week is my guess. Focus on that particular customer and really give them an experience with you as a retailer. Amazon will focus on everything to capitalize on search through Google, search on their own website, and they will do more around natural search to ensure that they are the #1 result for the products than most of the brands will. So recognize that threat and focus in other areas. Don't leave them completely behind, but focus very heavily in areas where Amazon does not do that. Merchandise to your customer base. We cite an example here for GoPro. GoPro has a website. GoPro sells the GoPro camera at the same price as Amazon. Amazon has a picture of the product, $369, buy now, 2-day delivery. GoPro is social, it's upload your videos, tell us how you use this. It's an experience. They want to engage with their consumers. And that's the driver to the website. The price is the same, the shipping is the same. So what do you want? Do you want an experience buying this, or do you want just the GoPro? So there's 2 opportunities for consumers to engage 2 different ways. We also talk about selling something different. If you look at Amazon in Mexico, they're competing in traditional hard good categories, electronics, as well as consumer packaged goods. So they're focusing primarily on price. But there is a very large catalog beyond just those core goods that Walmart sells, that Target sells, that Tesco sells. So focus on those particular categories and drive profitability in those categories, and then compete by offering that product selection so that your consumer sees you as a destination. Private label merchandise is also very key. We see this in apparel. When we look at people like JCPenney, look at people like Home Depot. Pricing is very important. Again, as I said, Target is more price competitive than Amazon in most categories. Best Buy is also more price competitive in certain categories. But they each have their opportunities to maintain that profitability. So, apologies. JCPenney, Kohl's, private label merchandise. If you look at Home Depot and you look at Lowe's, we looked at these just recently for someone. Lowe's is very focused on private label. We'll offer things that drive higher margin, that people will recognize as part of our brand, as opposed to going down the road that Home Depot did, which is to vigorously compete with Amazon on price, which is where the dynamic price changes came in with Amazon. Price changes multiple times per day. So it's something to be cautious about when you're going after Amazon, specifically on price. Let's not forget to focus on our customer. So we want to talk about building an online or an offline community. So be more engaging with your customers, whether this is through social, whether this is through store-based events, community involvement, whatever that happens to be. These are things that Amazon does not do. No one goes on Instagram and interacts with Amazon as a brand. There's no point. No one will react. No one will respond. Nobody is out there tweeting about their Amazon purchase. No one cares, right? But as they're engaging with a particular brand or particular event, they're very, very interested. Don't forget, in retail, in traditional retail, when we're not talking about Amazon, we have a lot more areas to respond to. We see that an average customer will touch 3.5 different places within a retailer before they choose to make a purchase. So we need to make sure that we're reacting to this, we're offering similar services in all of these areas, and be very, very consistent in the way that you communicate to your customer. Taking that one step further, we all look at John Lewis in the US. John Lewis has a mobile app, but the mobile app is predominantly used to drive click and collect, pickup, when you come into their store. You know, this is an innovative use of beacon technology to identify the customer, to help them understand that they have where they need to go in the store to pick up their particular goods, and to make sure that they're understanding how frequently their customers are visiting your store. So this is a great way to measure footfall for a digitally connected consumer. Kind of stating the obvious here, of course, retention is better than acquisition. We're seeing acquisition costs go higher because of the number of channels, the number of points, the number of places where our consumers can interact with first. But you know, customer service is key. You know, I will say, as an Amazon consumer in multiple countries, Amazon does not offer great customer service. They offer easy customer service. I can go to a website, I can say I want to return something. That's it. That's the only service they offer from customer service. If you make a mistake on your order, you order the wrong size, you don't want something to come on a particular day, none of those options is available to you. They're not flexible. You ordered it, I will send it to you. You don't like it, send it back. That's it. That's customer service. Remember back in the earlier slides, those were Amazon's strengths. I think we would all dispute that very easily. You know, our store associates are more flexible, they're more understanding, they're more inquisitive, they ask more questions. They want to ensure the customer is very happy. So take that to your customers in all channels. Customer service, on the phone, through social. However the consumer comes to you with their concern or the question. Remember, you cannot call Amazon. There is no customer service desk. There is no 24/7 call center. So if you're offering this, you're doing better than them already. So lastly, we talk about brand differentiation. You know, define what makes you unique. You know, as we saw in the prior presentation, you know, the retailers within Mexico as well as throughout the world are focused on their particular customer base. Yes, they take an opportunity to look at different customer segments, but what they're doing is they're responding specifically to those customer segments with very specific programs. You know, Amazon can't compete with you on that. Amazon is a big global brand with a ton of products. It's a warehouse store. There's no, you don't get a wonderful feeling. There's no place to visit. I want this, it came. That's it. That's all there is. And focus on your localness. Remember, you have the customer today. They come and they see you today. They are in your market. They are our friends. You know, our children go to school together. So Amazon is just a big American retailer that's coming into the market with their brand promise, again, which is we have what you need at a great price, but there's no experience there. And remember that consumers want to buy products in your store, but they want more certainty about what's in your store. They want to buy things from you when they can't come to your store, and they want them delivered to their home with certainty. And they also want to buy goods in store, and have them delivered to home when you don't have something there. These are very, very basic things, right? These are the kind of the foundations of omni-channel retailing. You know, if we can provide these aspects, we're providing convenience, and we're providing satisfaction to the customer when they couldn't be satisfied in store. So lastly, remember what drives shoppers. You know, we're adding value through digital. There was a number of years where our focus was away from digital. You know, we need to be more towards omni-channel. Digital is very, very critical for us to provide a very consistent experience. You know, we need to kind of come back and invest a little bit more than we have. Stores, you saw some great pictures of you know, the shopping centers throughout the world, and the experience has been driven. You know, the in-store experience has changed. You know, the design has come into the in-store experience. It's now time to kind of complete that and make sure that the online experience mirrors what you're offering in the store. Some consumers will not come to your store, but they still want that same feeling when they shop with you. You know, consider your channels holistically. You know, so focusing in on a particular channel. Remember that everything needs to be executed consistently across channels, but each channel should have its own elements of its own strategy to ensure that they're succeeding with their particular customer base that they succeed with most. Know your shoppers. Understand who your consumers are. Remember, every online order is marked with a customer. Most retailers' in-store transactions are not marked with a customer. Why not? They should be. If I shop with you in store, why wouldn't you recognize me just as well in store as you do online? When I go online, I should be able to understand what I bought in store. You know, remember, that's what Amazon gives you. Every order is in their order history. Amazon, you know, for them, they have one channel to focus on. They have one platform. You know, in retail, it's more difficult. It's more challenging because of the systems. And then recognize that the change is industry-wide. This does not, you know, focus down on particular sectors. This does not focus on particular markets, particular countries. It's happening throughout the world. Every market is changing. You know, retail transformation projects are ramping up more and more, and this will not change. The types of projects that you are embarking on in year 1 versus year 3 are different here in Chile than they are in America, than they are in Britain, but we're all doing this together. We're all going through this change together, and we're all doing it. So thank you.